I like to call this story, How the COVID Vaccine Saved My Life. Hi, everybody. My name is Emily Roberson, and I'm the author of Lifestyles of Gods and Monsters. And on this channel, I normally talk about the creative questions that I have asked myself. But this is a different video, and it's to tell you guys about something that happened to me this fall and how it kind of threw my creative journey off track. And hopefully you guys can get some lessons that might help you in your own. And it's also kind of a crazy story. So last year in 2020, in October, what I was supposed to be doing was promoting the paperback of my book, Lifestyles of Gods and Monsters, and the French edition of my book, Lifestyles of Gods and Monsters. And I was supposed to be doing virtual tours and participating in conferences and a bunch of other things. But instead, I was totally derailed by this crazy thing that happened to me, which is that I got cancer, which is not as tragic as that word sounds. Like, I wish there was a different word for what I got, but it was cancer. So I'm going to tell you that whole story. I had the opportunity to participate in the Moderna vaccine trial to find a vaccine for to fight the coronavirus because I'm married to a physician. So they were looking for family members of people who were exposed to COVID at work. And so I went to the office of the research study, and I had to get a physical exam to show that I was healthy enough to participate in the trial. And so they ran through all the things, they asked me all the questions, and I have historically not ever had any health problems. So I just blew through the questions until we got to the part with the physical exam. And then the APN, or advanced practice nurse, who was doing the physical exam, started feeling my neck and lymph nodes. And she started feeling my neck right about here. And she stopped and she was like, that's interesting. And then she had the RN feel it. That's interesting. And then she had me feel it. There was a funny little lump at the front of my neck. It was kind of mushy. And I thought, that's interesting. And then the nurse leans forward and she says to me, not to scare you, but do you have cancer in your family? And honestly, guys, I just wanted to laugh. Like, no, I mean, we have cancer in our family. Everybody has cancer in their family, but I was not at all concerned about this lump in my neck. I just thought, well, that's just a thing that happens. So they went ahead and decided that I could participate in the study, and I got like a gallon of blood taken and a big swab up my nose, and then got a shot in my arm, which I didn't know whether was the real vaccine or the placebo. And then I went home. But as I was leaving, they were like, you really need to get that thing on your neck checked out. And I was like, okay, fine. So I went home and I told my husband, hey, they were worried about this thing on my neck. And he was like, well, go see your family doctor. So I go see my family doctor, and he's like, that's interesting. And then he's like, probably nothing, but we should get it checked out. And so I went and got an ultrasound, and they said, probably nothing, but we should get it checked out. And then I went and got a biopsy where they, like stuck a thing in there, and they said, probably nothing, but we should check it out. And all the whole time while we're doing this is August going into September, I'm telling people, I have a book and it's coming out in paperback, and everybody's super nice about it. And I'm handing out business cards and not really thinking for an instant that I could actually have cancer until we get a call from my family doctor on a Friday afternoon to say, could you do a telemedicine visit right now? Which, if someone calls on Friday afternoon from a doctor's office to do a visit right now, you can pretty much figure that it's nothing good. And it turned out that I had what's called papillary thyroid cancer, which there's two kinds of thyroid cancer. The papillary is apparently the one that's less of a big deal, but it's still cancer. And so we went to go see the surgeon, who said, well, if you had to pick a cancer, this is the one to get. And so at the very beginning of October 1st of 2020, I went into the hospital to have surgery to get my thyroid removed. And while they were in there, they said the cancer had spread to my lymph nodes in my neck. So at my post-surgery visit, this would have been, the first week in October, the surgeon said to me, we're going to have to get your thyroid levels really low before you do the radiation. And so you're going to be so tired that you're going to sit down at your desk and try to work, and you're going to need to go to sleep. And he said that to me, and I didn't believe him. Like, if I look at my planner from October, I had a whole list of things that I was going to do. You know, write a new book, promote the old book, you know, go to festivals. Now, I did manage to make all of the festivals that I had been scheduled to appear at. And I think I managed to put sentences together in a coherent way, although you can watch the video from the Six Bridges Book Festival and see for yourself. I probably wasn't at the top of my game, but I think I did okay. But all of the promoting and writing and everything else that I was going to do, it just didn't happen. In fact, I discovered that I couldn't really walk down the block, which for someone like me who is used to going, and doing, was really hard. And I kept doing things where I thought, I feel a little bit better. Okay, now I'm gonna go walk a mile because a mile isn't that far. But you guys, a mile was too far. Like, I had to sit down on the curb one time. I almost had to call someone to come and get me. And people were, you know, giving my kids rides to things and bringing us meals. And I'm so grateful for all that. But I found it really hard to not be able to do all the normal, easy things that I do. And it was really an education for me in our bodies, and the fact that like everything else in my body was totally fine, except that my thyroid wasn't making thyroid hormone. And it turns out if your thyroid doesn't make thyroid hormone, you don't have the energy to walk down the block, which was rough. And I'm still sort of like processing how hard that was to just not be able to do all the things I normally do. But then when my thyroid levels got down like as low, or I guess it's as high, it's like they're measuring a hormone. Anyway, it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. My thyroid got really low, and then I got to go take a radioactive pill that was given to me in a tungsten jar. Like, it was wild. So I swallowed this pill, and then I was radioactive for several weeks, which meant mostly that I had to hang out in my room. And I had all these plans on what I was going to do when I was stuck in the room for, 2 weeks, a week roughly, without anybody being able to see me. I was going to watch Bridgerton. I was going to watch all this new stuff. You guys, I just rewatched the Great British Baking Show episodes I'd already seen. Like, I didn't even have enough energy to watch something that I hadn't seen before. So, and I wasn't allowed to be around children, my children or any other children. So when I tried to go outside, it seemed like everywhere I went, there were children. And so that was sort of terrifying, because while radioactive, I could be actually harmful to children, which I'm pretty fond of children. And so the thought that I could be poisoning them was like really upsetting, actually. And so anyway, so I got through the radioactivity, and then in December, I was actually able to start taking the thyroid hormone, which thankfully for me, it has worked. Like, it's at the right level. I know for some people it doesn't work, but it's been working fine for me. But I have to remember to take a pill every day, which I had never had to do before. And mostly I had to deal with this feeling that I'm sure you guys have felt of like, okay, well, how am I going to make a video now? Like, what am I going to tell everybody? How am I going to post on social media? What am I going to tell everybody? Like, when you lead with, I had cancer, like, that's super scary, but I didn't have it. I mean, it was scary, but compared to other people's cancers, my cancer is not that big a deal. But like, it really, knocked me for a loop for sure. So the part of me that loves to be seen to be doing well really didn't quite know what to do. So in January and February, I would think to myself, oh, I should really make a video. But then I was like, well, what am I going to talk about in the video? I don't really know what I'm doing right now. And then I thought I should do a giveaway for the paperback of lifestyles. But instead, I let the box of paperbacks sit on my desk for, until last week. Or I should be calling teachers to tell them like, hey, Lifestyles of Gods and Monsters would be a great thing to teach in your class, and I'd be happy to give you a copy. Or I should be pitching myself for conferences. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. But I just felt so sort of overwhelmed and behind, and disconnected from the creative person that I was before. that I didn't really know how to do that. And so, and also honestly, like I have hardly posted any pictures of myself because I don't really like the scar. Please, and don't worry about in the comments below, like you don't have to tell me the scar looks fine. I know the scar looks fine psychologically. It's just emotionally having something, like I always really liked that part of my neck. Like that was a part of my body that I've always really liked. And so having it change has been kind of a blow in a way that I never would have anticipated, which isn't to say that I'm not super, super, super glad that we have the surgery now to deal with it. And we have a medicine now to deal with it. And, but it's just a change of who I was. And now I'm sort of figuring out like who I'm going to be going forward, which is of course the same person, but different. And I think in a way that's what this year has done to all of us. This strange 2020 COVID year has done for all of us. And so part of the reason why I'm telling this story is for you is like, if you've been blown off track in your creative life for me now, this is 6 months. Like that doesn't mean you can't get back on. That doesn't mean you can't come back and start making new work. And so, so I'm going to start doing giveaways for Lifestyles with Gods and Monsters. And if you see this, you know, sometime in April, May, June of 2021, you know, check out my website, emilyrobersonbooks.com, and you might have a chance to win a book. I'm going to start writing new projects. I've been submitting short stories. I've been writing poems, all of those things, but it's really taken me a while to get back on my feet. And I think that's the other thing is like, we can spend so much time being upset with ourselves for being slow that we end up not doing anything. And I feel like I really have had a hard time letting my body heal and just be still and know that like, no, I don't really want to make anything right now. What I really want to do is watch Great British Baking Show again and knit. I have been knitting. So anyway, here we are. The short version, I had cancer, now I'm better. And I look forward to making more videos. And if you do have creative questions that you've asked yourself, please let me know in the comments. I think pretty soon I'm gonna talk about your inner critic because that has been a thing I've really noticed a lot. So expect a new video about banishing your inner critic and an excellent book I just read about how to do that. Thanks so much. And I can't wait to come back to talking to you guys some more.